First, I would like to dedicate this presentation to the Shaheeds Arin Merkan, who was killed by ISIS while defending Kobani, and Zozan Judi, who was killed by Turkey's military while defending the Kurds of northern Kurdistan. And as my speech will show you, both of these brave women died while fighting the same enemy. As a Kurdish studies specialist, my talk today will focus on many different things around the conflict with Turkey and ISIS. I will attempt to connect the dots and show you how Turkey aided ISIS, why Turkey aided ISIS, and the larger sort of political context and why Turkey did this. This is not merely an academic topic for me. I was personally on the border in September and October of 2014 outside Kobani from the Turkish side of the border. And I personally witnessed Turkish assistance to ISIS throughout this time. During that time, I watched 50 tanks of the Turkish military sit and do nothing as ISIS forces advanced on the city of Kobani. Every night, we would watch the ambulances full with the wounded ISIS fighters being brought from Rojava into Turkey to be treated at the hospitals in Persus or Suruç. Obviously, at this time, we were upset, but we knew already that at this point, Turkey attacking ISIS would be the same as shooting themselves in the foot. When I and a few others began to report about this, the Turkish military gassed the area that we were looking at them from and even used live ammunition to get us to move across from the border. For some of the background and context of what I would say is the worst kept geopolitical secret in the world, ISIS has basically been operating with the blessing of Turkey's government, the regime of Tayyip Erdogan, since 2013. For those of you in this room, many of you who know the history of how Turkey has oppressed over 20 million Kurds throughout southeastern Turkey or northern Kurdistan, the behavior of the Turkish government makes perfect sense. Throughout the decades, the Turkish government used village guards to fight Kurdish guerrillas. They recruited Islamists and put them in Turkish Hezbollah or Hizbul Contra to attack secular Kurds in the cities. They endorsed thuggish attacks by the fascist Grey Wolves against Kurds throughout Turkey. Throughout the 1990s, the Turkish state used Jaitim death squads against the Kurds. They burned down over 4,000 Kurdish villages. So for those that are familiar with this history, it doesn't take much to see how the same state that would do this to 20 million Kurds within Turkey would have no problem sending ISIS after the 2 to 3 million Kurds in Rojava. And as we see currently, all of these conflicts are connected together. As a Kurdish specialist, it's important that the people here understand that the Turkish state currently is carrying out war against the Kurdish people in 3 different regions: Bakur, Bashur, and Rojava. Whether it's burning down the forests around Dersim, whether it's filling the jails in Ahmed with democratically elected mayors, often Kurdish mayors, whether it's threatening to flood Hasankeyf, whether it's threatening to invade the city of Kobani, whether it's occupying and Turkifying the city of Afrin, whether it's building 14 military bases around Duhok in Bashur, whether it's bombing Kandil, as we saw yesterday, 2 days after the Kurdish leader Cemal Bayek asked for peace in the Washington Post, the Turkish Air Force bombed Kandil and killed one of the KCK leaders. So as we see, the use of ISIS against the Kurds in Rojava was part of a larger plan, part of the sort of neo-Ottoman plan of the regime of Tayyip Erdogan. The way that this began is in August 2014, the reason why Turkey began to fear the project here in Rojava is because in August of 2014, you had a situation where the Yazidis were having genocide committed against them in Shingal. At this point, fighters from the PKK, the YPG, and the YPJ came together and saved over 40,000 Yazidis on Mount Sinjar. My own United States government knows about this. They land and thanked them for it, and they apologized for the disgrace that the PKK remained on the foreign terrorist organization list, because they showed their true colors when they saved 40,000 Yazidis on Mount Sinjar. But as we know, they were only put on that list to sell Cobra helicopters to the Turkish government in 1997, the same Turkish government that used those Kurdish helicopters to destroy 4,000 Kurdish villages. As the battle in Kobani raged on, the Turkish state basically established what in the West became known as a jihadi highway. They would fly the fighters into Istanbul, take them on buses down to Gaziantep. MIT would take them across the border into Rojava. Throughout this entire time, the Turkish government was coordinating with ISIS. They then began to buy the oil from ISIS, including Erdogan's own son-in-law. The situation became so insane in Turkey that parents of ISIS members would beg the police to arrest their sons who were in ISIS, and the Turkish police wouldn't do this. This at a time when the Turkish regime of Erdogan was filling the jails with tens of thousands of people. Recently, Turkey invaded the city of Afrin. And what you saw was, although ISIS was defeated on the battlefield here in Rojava, many of them have simply just switched uniforms. Turkey is using them now under different flags, whether it be Al-Nusra, Al-Qaeda, HTS. They even bring in their own Sultan Murad Brigade, many different groups that they use to Turkify and terrorize the people of Afrin. As we've seen, Erdogan was the father of ISIS. He provided the child support for ISIS. But ISIS has brothers, and those are the other jihadi groups that Turkey is arming. The only jihadists right now in Syria that exist are in the areas that Turkey controls. As for why Turkey helped ISIS, Der Spiegel noted in 2014, the Turkish government is even more afraid of the Kurds in neighboring Syria than it is of those inside their own country. The journalist Ben Norton noted, Turkey believed that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Hossein Waziri in Time magazine said, the image in the West of the Kurds as a reliable ally in the ground is terrifying for Turkey. One of the ISIS emirs, named Abu Mansur al-Maghribi, said that Turkey had ambitions for not only controlling the Kurds, they wanted all of the north, from Kasab to Mosul, as this was part of the larger neo-Ottoman plan of Erdogan. Brett McGurk, the American head of the global coalition, noted most of the material coming to fuel the ISIS war machine was coming across the border from Turkey. Ahmet Turk, the mayor of Mardin, noted in 2014, ISIS has easy access over the border, and the Turkish state is looking the other way. Ali Edeboglu, the CHP deputy from Hatay, noted that over 1,000 nationals, Turkish nationals, were helping foreign fighters sneak into Syria to join ISIS. And he said none of this can be happening without MIT's knowledge. Ayhan Bilgen, the HDP MP from Kars, said that there were regular trips between Raqqa and Ankara's main bus terminal, with the price being $1,250 per passenger. Russia's prime minister in 2015 noted that Turkey's actions are de facto protection of the Islamic State. Vladimir Putin, Russia's president, noted that the Islamic State was entering Turkish territory on an industrial scale. Mowafaq al-Rubai, the former Iraqi MP, said that over 8 months, ISIS had managed to sell $800 million worth of oil to the black market in Turkey. Shirko Ömer, who was an ISIS communications technician, told Newsweek magazine that ISIS commanders told him, do not fear anything, we're working with the Turks. He said that he was connected to ISIS field captains and commanders, and they always mostly spoke Turkish as they were speaking to their handlers in MIT. Abu Mansur al-Maghribi, an ISIS emir, said that he had direct meetings with MIT in Turkey. He said sometimes these meetings would be every week, happening in Ankara or Gaziantep. Faraj, an ISIS militant, told The Independent in 2017, most of those who are fighting in Afrin against the YPG are ISIS. And in this situation, ISIS was merely emulating their Turkish sponsor. One of the interviews conducted was with a Kurdish mother named Hidle Muhammad. She's from the city of Kobani. At a time when ISIS was lighting people on fire in cages, she noted that her son, Lakman Ali, was a Kurdish guerrilla, and he was captured in 2006 by the Turkish army, and they also lit him on fire, never giving her back the remains. I myself interviewed a Kurdish guerrilla in 2014, and this is what he said. I'm going to quote his statement in full. He told me, "What ISIS represents is the explosion of the Turkish mechanism of war, killing, torture, rape, destruction, and oppression. However, ISIS shouldn't be seen as more vicious than the Turkish state. They are its personification. They were created by it, like a monster in an experiment. The Turkish army has done far worse to our comrades in the PKK than ISIS can even imagine. Turkish soldiers have cut off their breasts, mutilated their organs, raped our dead female comrades, sadistically tortured us, made our women live in dog cages, burned us alive, beheaded our comrades, and committed every single barbarity that the human mind can even imagine." And he looked at me now and he told me, ISIS is only the beginning of learning all of the Turkish army tactics and their barbarism. As for direct evidence, Hakan Faidin, the MIT head, has already admitted on a recording that he sent over 2,000 trucks of missiles and ammunition into Syria in the beginning. As for hospitals, the ISIS commander Abu Muhammad was treated in Hatay. Imran Shakhan was treated in Denizli, and Ahmet Aha was treated, al-Baghdadi's deputy was treated in Ufa. But as I would say,
You have just 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Shortly, since my time is short, I will print all of the evidence. It's over 20 pages of amassed evidence on the NRLS website so that people can look up the reference material that I'm speaking about. But the U.S. looked at 4,600 ISIS documents, and the U.S. Army concluded that 90% of all the foreign fighters entered from Turkey. And it's not just the United States intelligence. Jordanian intelligence confirmed that Turkey trained ISIS. A senior Egyptian official confirmed that Turkish intelligence was giving them satellite imagery. 13,000 tons of ammonium nitrate fertilizer passed through the border from Turkey into Rojava, which they use for explosives. In 2014, when ISIS captured the Turkish consulate in Mosul, at a time when they were killing every other prisoner they captured, they let all 49 consulate workers go for the Turkish consulate. And then they set up their headquarters in Mosul inside the Turkish consulate building. In 2014, the Lebanese-American journalist Serena Shim reported that Turkey was using trucks labored with the World Food Organization to bring in weapons. She said on her own program, "I'm a bit frightened by MIT," as she reported this. The next day, her car suspiciously collided with a cement truck and she was killed. As I would conclude, I think it's important that Turkey's occupation in Afrin currently, with the defeated ISIS fighters, be recognized by the wider world. Within Afrin currently, the jihadists backed by Turkey are looting stores, seizing homes, destroying Kurdish monuments, ethnic cleansings, rapes, assassinations, kidnappings for ransom, forced Sharia taxes, Turkifying the education system, changing the street names, and stealing all of Afrin's olive oil. This is the continued behavior of the Turkish government against their Kurds and the Kurds of Rojava and even the Kurds in Bashur to this day. So lastly, as for a solution, the Western coalition needs to establish a no-fly zone here in Rojava. Turkey cannot be allowed to manage a so-called safe zone. Their so-called safe zone will be a genocide zone. Because every time the Turkish state moves into an area where there are Kurds, we see what happens. This cannot be allowed to happen. As the forces of the SDF, the YPG, and the YPG heroically defeated ISIS, the entire world owes them their thanks, and now the world owes them protection. Thank you.
Thank you for you. شكرا للدكتور ثيور على مداخلة الحقيقة كانت أقرب إلى يعني وقائع نقلت مباشرة في الدراسة فشكرا له. Thank you for you.